Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to...
Is British food really the worst?
It is the middle of July in the UK, and it is cold.
Oh.
How cold is it?
Yeah, probably our
Like, for me,
our winter.
oh,
So like what
cold.
we have
That's
right
cold.
I recently made a video about French
really
food
cool.
and why some parts of the world romanticize it. But right next door is a country that I feel like is experiencing the exact opposite.
That is interesting. Why people romanticize French food? Like I feel like they do have good foods, pastries, namely, right? But some other food French have, this is not too good.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it like that? I don't know.
Because
Yeah.
like...
My favourite.
You're right.
What wrong with?
British cuisine. I don't think there's a country in the world that gets as bad of a rep in food as the UK does. So I want to dive into why we think British food is so bad and bland. Is this like a recent development in American-specific stereotype, or has the world always made fun of British food for centuries? But I should start with one thing first. Do British people think British food is bad?
I don't think so. That wouldn't make sense. Why do you think your own food is bad? You cook it.
I'm in London to meet some of my UK friends, and I want to ask them what they think about British food.
Nando's is overrated.
When you think of British food, there isn't really much dishes to even have. There's just something to it. Do you know what I mean? There's just something a bit extra to it.
I spend my time in McDonald's and KFC.
For a country where food is considered bland, the UK is actually home to a lot of food and drinks. Shepherd's pie, cider, fish and chips, full English. But the common stereotype for British food is usually the place full of stodgy pies, where people put beans on toast and toast on toast. So where does this stereotype come from?
Toast on toast.
English food is
Awful.
You know you're known for having horrible food.
I don't like
Okay,
mushy
I'm back from the
foods.
UK, and after spending months of diving into research into how British food became the laughingstock of the world, I've realized that, as always, it's not that simple. Everybody's answers and theories are all over the place. There are so many inconsistencies. One theory suggests that British people are too sexually repressed to have good food. You can debate that in the comments. But I've come to the point where I just want to say fuck it and put together a summary of the reasons why I think British food has gotten bad, with some of my own personal takes. I'm going to go through a few of these theories, and the first one is probably the answer you will likely find the most. British food got bad because of the war.
Yeah, that's what we saw in the other video.
It's World War II, right after France fell and before the US joined the war. Britain was the sole empire standing up to the Axis powers. This was really tough on Britain because, like other countries, the British went through really tough rations during the war. People had to eat stuff like powdered eggs and stale bread. They even ran propaganda campaigns about how carrots helped you see in the dark, which was so effective, it's the reason why your parents still say carrots are good for your eyes. But unlike other countries, after the war ended, Britain never fully
Carrots is not good for your eyes?
Carrots is good for your
I thought
eyes.
they are good for your eyes because of beta carotene. I think that's what makes it good for your eyes.
But not to
most
like, see in the dark.
of your player.
Honestly, though, you can't see in the dark at all. I don't know.
What do you mean? I see in the dark fine.
I don't know.
You?
I see in the dark.
I don't know.
Every
You
morning you
don't know
get
what
ready, you need light to put on your shoes. Why? You don't.
What do you mean? Oh, I'm not a savage.
There's a World War II went through economic miracles during the 50s to 80s. But Britain didn't. Instead, they've been on a steady decline since the end of the war. It lost its superpower status to the US and Soviet Union, it lost its empire, its economy has been tanking. The UK even now has worse public transit than America.
Really?
And that's a low bar.
I don't know about that. I love the metro, the underground.
But you've
I
been
found
there a
the
long
UK drop-
time ago. Maybe saying now.
I guess it's been over a decade.
Yeah, a lot of things can change.
Dropping in all kinds of charts, like this Forbes best country list. They're also the only G7 country to go into recession this year. If you live in the UK, it might feel like there's no future to your country, and that your country is nothing but America's bitch. Alright, now I'm just messing with British people. But most theories do say that Britain's consistent decline has led a whole generation to grow up on food rations, and that now modern Brits just don't know what good food actually is. The reason why British food is mushy and bad is because British people don't have a sense of taste. If you're British, you're probably thinking, none of this is true and I'm talking out of my ass. And to be clear, I don't think this is the sole reason, or even the main reason, to how British food got bad. Because if you think about it,
When you went,
it doesn't.
did you find something nice to eat or no?
Yeah, I didn't have a problem finding food.
Mm.
I think what's important to understand also, we're talking about the traditional British foods here. They do have plenty of other foods and options there. You can get.
So you didn't eat British food there?
I did. I ate fish and chips. I remember I tried it. Well, I ate at home too, like whatever you buy at the grocery store. So it's like, because I lived at home. So, but yeah, we're talking just about the like historically British food. Though they do have a lot of like Indian influences, other Asian countries influences. I'm sure you can find like French, for honestly Lithuanian restaurants, Polish restaurants. There's a lot of immigrants there from the Balkans. A lot of Albanians.
So everyone else's food.
No,
British
no,
foods.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a melting pot of countries. It's kind of like the States, but in Europe, a smaller states, whereas a lot of people immigrate there. So they have a lot of variety of foods. So it's not fair to say, oh, you're not going to find nothing to eat. You will find stuff to eat. Now, talking about what we're doing here is talking about the traditional British food. So how good that is. I had fish and chips. It was fine. I had it with tartar sauce. It was cool. I didn't mind it. But, let's see.
Doesn't make much sense. For one, centuries-old British recipes still exist today. It's not like they were lost in the war. And there are many poorer countries in the UK that have amazing cuisines. Also, it's a myth that British people still eat ration-esque food today. Because I was in London, and the food was pretty good. And I know it's London
Yeah, you see it?
food today. Because
Yeah, all these stands. Hot dog. Fuck, I can't really see. Calamari. Fish, chips, and calamari, something like that. There's a lot of from different countries, I'm sure.
I was in London, and the food was pretty good. And I know it's London, which is very different from the rest of the country, but I have been to other parts of the UK before. In fact, none of my British friends were even from London. They're all from places like Birmingham, Newcastle, Cardiff, and Liverpool. And fun fact, my dad grew up in Llandudno, Wales, which is in the middle of nowhere, and he has nothing but good things to say about the food there. Now, the war did have some influence on British food, which we'll get to in a bit, but I just want to clarify that most of Britain's weird culinary decisions already existed before the war. For one, the toast sandwich, which does sound pretty stupid, it has recipes dating back to 1861, way before either world wars. I've actually never seen anyone eat a toast sandwich. I don't even know if it's like a legit thing people eat. The recipe is pretty simple. I mean, anybody can make it, right? Should I just make a toast sandwich? I think I'm gonna make a toast sandwich.
What's a toast sandwich?
Alright, so we're gonna make a toast sandwich because it seems really easy to make. Never had it before, so I kinda wanna try it. I'm gonna use the original recipe from the 1860s. Alright, I'm just gonna make toast with a frying pan.
So the regular
You know how long
bread,
you have to wait
wonder
for-
bread.
Sliced bread to be toasted on a pan?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
No butter, no nothing.
You wanna smell bread, homie? Don't eat it though, please.
Spoons, they're out. Panera's new ciabatta dippers are in. Each melty sandwich paired with
You
a
okay?
perfect...
Smoke's beginning to come out of the pan. Okay, that looks like proper toast. I'm gonna make an executive decision and say that's good.
Some
Ooh,
butter.
butter.
And yeah, that is a toast.
What?
They don't got food over there.
What?
They don't got food over there. That's a lie.
So we have two breads and then the middle
But
bread is toasted?
I'm not gonna lie, the consistency is quite nice. A little crunchy, a little soft, smoothness.
Yeah, but put at least some cheese or ham or something in it.
They don't have food.
You're gonna choke on it. It's all bread on bread on bread? Well, damn.
Toast sandwich. I'm not looking forward to it. What the fuck?
He likes it.
Anyways, speaking of toast, I think another infamous British food might be the key. to
Like,
how-
it's not a bad food. If you like bread, it's bread, but I would, like, why? Put something with, like, a cheese or something on it.
I mean, he had the cat smell it, so it has some essence
British
of
food
cat.
got bad. And that's, you probably guessed it, beans on toast.
Growing up with beans on toast is a treat.
They're like sweet, smoky beans. And it just,
Yeah, so they said the thing about beans on toast is the sauce.
Oh, what sauce is that?
They said it's the sauce and it soaks the bread. It tastes really good. That's the
What
only.
sauce is it though?
It's like kind of like a tomato sauce, but you can buy it separately. So that's the whole thing about it, is the sauce. I
Okay.
don't know.
Original flavor
You
mix.
make it for us.
Ironically, beans on toast, this quintessential British food to make fun of, isn't originally from the UK. The first recipe for beans on toast actually came from Heinz. Yeah, the ketchup company from America. They sell beans too, and they're really popular in the UK. Henry Heinz
Ooh, beans on pizza. Well, that's interesting. I would like to try that.
the entrepreneur who founded the company Heinz, was getting really successful selling ketchup to Americans during the late 1800s. But despite this success, he knew he could grow his company even more. Heinz, the guy, came up with an idea to mix oven-baked beans with tomato sauce and put it in a can so it could be stored for however long and eaten whenever. For whatever reason, he didn't sell this to Americans though, but instead flew to London and introduced his idea to Fortnum & Mason, a luxury department store, and they loved Heinz' product. Fortnum & Mason started a partnership with Heinz, and this upmarket department store started selling Heinz oven-baked beans exclusively. These beans in a can were being treated like luxury items.
Heinz perfected the baked bean. You are never going to make a better one.
Fortnum & Mason even hired salesmen to go door-to-door to introduce these beans to the British public even faster. By the way, these salesmen had to be, and I quote, dashing, dapper, and tall. Like, these salesmen had to be at least 6 feet tall. Obviously, these very handsome salesmen were meant to sell beans to these very lonely housewives. And it worked. Heinz was selling beans so successfully in the UK, they even opened up a factory there just to make beans. But some people still didn't know what to do with all the beans. So in 1927, Heinz released a new recipe. Put the beans on toast. Okay, you can barely call that a recipe, but it totally worked. Heinz now sells about 1.5 million cans of beans a day in the UK. Beans are a staple in this country, and not fresh beans like in Brazil or something. Canned beans are a staple.
I want to take baked beans to another level. Yeah, well, you can't, because Heinz already did it.
A part of this was driven by the war, to be fair. Though these beans were initially sold as a fancy item, they were actually really cheap to make. So cheap that they became an essential item during the war and were exempt from rationing. I think this can of beans is a big key to why British food is seen as bad, and also why some people see American food as bad. To me, this can of bean represents the industrialization and consumerism that has made a lot of modern cultures lose their color. Britain was the first country to hit rapid industrialization, and nobody was really prepared for the consequences of it. The Industrial Revolution sent people from small towns to factories in big cities, resulting in longer work hours, meaning less time to eat. This industrialization also allowed a lot of products to be made identical and produced quickly, which would eventually replace home-cooked traditions with TV dinners and canned beans. The Industrial Revolution divorced Britain from a part of its own culinary culture, and we're still dealing with these problems today, especially in the US and UK. In fact, we have less time off today than medieval peasants, which is depressing to know. So the average British person, and American honestly, takes way less time to enjoy food. And for a long time, these cultures have sort of put food on a low priority. What do you think about British food?
Don't eat much. I spend my time in McDonald's and KFC.
Well, why don't you eat British food?
It's too expensive.
This is coupled with the final reason. British cuisine isn't really focused on presentation. A lot of the cuisine's image is based on how it looks, how it's plated, how colorful it is. British food is usually gray or brown. There isn't a lot of color to it, which just makes it look flavorless and stale. Even if it tastes really good, this looks sloppy and kinda gross. This visual image of British food, coupled with food being more of a chore than enjoyment for the past century, has created this lost generation of appreciating cuisine. Even American cuisine, which is also made fun of, suffers from similar problems. It's only in the past decade or so that people in these countries are beginning to enjoy food again. A lot of that, though, has been driven by immigration. I mean, Britain's national dish is chicken tikka masala, which just shows how other cultures have been filling in the gaps.
I think, like, when you think of British food, there isn't really much dishes to even have. Like, for me, British food is just all the other foods that we have here.
What food? Grace food?
I think that's what he's saying.
Well, what is that?
Indian foods, Chinese foods, I like Greek, I like tacos, noodles.
It looks good.
And that's the reason why some people, even the Brits, find their cuisine bland. What do you think of British food?
It's terrible. It's just comfort food, isn't it? Like, because it's like not nice, but it's just like comfortable enough where you're just like, yeah, that was a nice meal.
But with all that said, I do think British food is actually kinda underrated and good.
There's just something to it, do you know what I mean? There's just something a bit extra to it. It just makes it just a bit of joie de vivre to it, do you know what I mean?
So you think it's pretty good?
Oh, it's amazing.
And I'm not just saying this to be nice to British people. Nobody needs to be nice to the Brits. But I'm saying this because my dad is from the UK, and he introduced a lot of British dishes to me when I was a kid. Stuff like full English and cobblers. All of which is, to me, very warm and comforting. I was born and raised in the US.
What I learned was watching Chef Ramsay. Every time we talk about beef Wellington.
I have very strong connection to the UK because of my family and friends there. I honestly get a warm, homey feeling when I eat food from the UK, as much as when I eat food from America or Hong Kong. But enough of me talking about British food. What food do British people like?
Beans on toast.
Shepherd's pie.
Just a Sunday roast. That's like a classic sausage and chips.
What the fuck is sausage and chips?
Fish and chips is pretty good.
My favourite.
Sausage and chips, we haven't heard that before.
Maybe like the hot dog that we've seen and just with fries.
Maybe.
Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. And as always, share as much kindness as possible.